I found a receipt for a private couples counselor in my fiancé's coat. Except he had been going alone for 6 weeks. The washer was already filling. Warm water thudding against the drum. When the paper slipped from the inside pocket and stuck to my damp fingers. At first I thought it was a pharmacy receipt. There was one folded around it, for allergy pills and mints. Then I saw the clinic name. The appointment dates. Every Wednesday at 7 p.m. In one typed note near the bottom, partner not attending. I stood there with his coat over my arm, smelling lavender fabric softener and cold rain, while my stomach went hollow. We were supposed to make our engagement official next month. Both families knew. My mother had already bought napkins. And Caleb had been telling a stranger about us without me. By then, Caleb and I had lived together for 2 years. Long enough that our toothbrushes leaned toward each other in the cup and neither of us remembered who had bought the chipped blue plates. Our life was not dramatic. That was why the receipt felt like a crack in a wall I had trusted with my full weight. On Sunday nights, Caleb packed our lunches because he hated wasting money at work. He labeled the lids with masking tape. Mine with a crooked heart when he was in a good mood. I handled the budget because numbers calmed me down. On the fridge, under a lemon-shaped magnet, we had taped a chart titled Apartment Fund. Every payday, one of us colored in another square with green marker. We were saving for a small place with bad parking and good windows. That was our joke. We could compromise on everything except sunlight. At night, we scrolled through listings in bed, shoulders touching. He would point at ugly tile and say, "We can live with that." I would point at a second bedroom and say, "Someday, that could be useful." He never argued. Sometimes he smiled, soft and tired, like the future was already sitting beside us. My phone was full of wedding ideas I pretended were accidental. Linen suits, backyard lights, cakes with uneven frosting. I had saved a photo of a woman holding white tulips, and when Caleb saw it once, he kissed my temple and said, "That feels like you." That was the man I knew. He called my mother every time we drove up on weekends, asking if she needed anything from the store. He helped my father fix a loose porch rail without being asked. He remembered which cousin was gluten-free and which aunt hated roses. At family dinners, he listened more than he spoke, one hand on my knee under the table like a promise. So when I stood in the laundry room holding that counselor receipt, I could not make him into a villain. Not cleanly. Not all at once. That was worse. If he had been cruel, I could have grabbed anger and worn it like armor. But Caleb was the man who warmed my side of the bed when I stayed up late. The man who left allergy pills beside my water glass before spring got bad. And somehow, every Wednesday at 7, he had been somewhere I did not know, saying things I was not allowed to hear. I folded the receipt again and hid it in my sock drawer. When Caleb came home, he carried groceries against his chest and apologized because the avocados were too hard. I watched him set them down, careful and ordinary. Then I smiled like my heart had not started keeping score. The first Wednesday I remembered was the one with the lasagna. Caleb had made it from scratch because my mother was coming by after work, and he knew she trusted men more when they owned a casserole dish. He grated too much cheese, burned his thumb on the pan, and laughed when I told him he was campaigning too hard. Then, at 6:22 he checked his phone and went still. "I'm going for a run," he said. My mother was due in 20 minutes. The table was set. The kitchen smelled like garlic and tomato sauce. Outside, rain dragged silver lines down the window. "In this?" I asked. He glanced at the glass as if weather had become someone else's problem. "It's barely raining." He came back an hour later with dry hair and clean shoes. I noticed, but I trained myself not to notice. Love can make you polite in stupid ways. You see laces still tied neatly. You see no mud on rubber soles. You see a gray t-shirt lying flat against a chest that should be damp. And some loyal part of you whispers, "Don't be ugly. Don't make trouble." My mother was already at our small table, purse on her lap, asking about work, the apartment search, his sister's move. Then she smiled at me in that careful mother way. "I saw tiny yellow rain boots today," she said. almost bought them and hid them away for later. That was our routine, she hinted. I rolled my eyes. Caleb squeezed my hand, and everyone laughed like the future had signed papers. But Caleb did not touch me. He reached for his water and said, "Lasagna needs 5 more minutes." My mother blinked, then let it go. After that, Wednesdays grew shadows. Caleb kept running shoes by the door, but they stayed to clean. His smart watch, which celebrated every mile like it had won something, recorded nothing on those nights. Once I eased him, asking if he had Outrun's Adelites. "Forgot to start it," he said, smiling with no warmth. Another night, I showed him a video of my coworker's toddler feeding spaghetti to a sleeping dog. Caleb used to love those clips. He would laugh first, then pretend he was above them. This time he watched 3 seconds and handed back my phone. "Cute," he said, already rinsing a plate. I stood there with the child's laugh still squeaking from the speaker, embarrassed by my own hope. The signs were not dramatic. He did not smell like perfume. He did not turn his screen face down. He still made tea. He still kissed my hair when he passed the couch. But on Wednesdays, something in him left before his body did. After I found the receipt, every small odd thing returned: sharpened, dry shirt, empty running log, clean shoes, my mother's yellow rain boots hanging unanswered in the room. Suddenly, him going for a run sounded less like exercise and more like a door closing. I told myself I would not become the kind of woman who searched pockets twice. That promise lasted until Monday morning. I stood by the fridge, studying our wall calendar like it might betray him out of pity. Caleb had written "run" in blue ink on every Wednesday for the next month, neat and small between rent due and my dentist appointment. He had never scheduled exercise before. He used to forget dinner with my parents unless I reminded him twice. Now even his lies had better discipline. He came into the kitchen with damp hair, work shirt half buttoned, face soft with sleep. "Long day?" I asked. "Probably." He took the coffee I had poured for him. "You?" "Same." There was a pause where we used to put jokes. He drank standing up. I noticed everything: his fingers tight around the mug, his eyes sliding past the calendar, the way he looked ordinary while carrying something I could not see. After he left, I opened my laptop and stared at one spreadsheet until the numbers blurred. My coffee went cold beside my wrist. I did not check his phone. I kept repeating that like it made me decent. I did not know his password anymore anyway. He had changed it months ago after some banking update, and I had thought nothing of it. Trust makes you careless. Fear makes you smart in ugly ways. What I checked was our car insurance app. We had signed up for the safe driver discount when we were saving for a down payment. It tracked mileage, hard-braking, little cheerful maps of everywhere we went. I opened it with my thumb gripped. Wednesday, 6:41. Caleb's car had been parked 3 blocks from Laurel Avenue. I searched the address. Same counseling center. My hands went cold. My face burned, as if I had been caught doing something shameful in my own kitchen. I closed the app, opened it again, then shut it so fast my phone slid across the table. That night, Caleb brought home noodles because he said I looked tired, sweet and spicy. He said, setting the carton in front of me, "Extra scallions." He remembered everything except how to tell the truth. We ate with wooden chopsticks over paper napkins. He asked about my client call. I answered. I asked if he had talked to his brother. He said not yet. Normal words. Normal kitchen. 2 people treating silence like furniture. On Tuesday, I found 3 printed pages in the recycling under a grocery flyer. Not hidden. Folded once. They were questions. What future are you afraid to admit you want? Where have you agreed to something to avoid conflict? What would your partner lose by not knowing the truth? I stood barefoot by the trash can while the refrigerator hummed. No answers. Only blank spaces. Somehow that felt worse. His truth was still inside him, sealed and warm, while I walked around touching its shadow. When he came home, I had a text drafted on my phone. "Are you planning to leave me?" I stared at it until the letters stopped looking real. Then I deleted it. After dinner, He washed the pan even though I had cooked. Steam rose around his wrists. I leaned against the counter and listened to water hit stainless steel. Caleb, I said, soft enough to sound accidental. You've been quiet lately. His shoulders tightened. Have I? Yes. He turned off the faucet. Sudden silence filled the room. I'm sorry, he said. I've had a lot in my head. About work. He dried his hands slowly. Not exactly. A door opened 1 inch. I should have said. I found the receipt. I know where you go. Tell me before I become someone I hate. Instead, fear spoke first. About us? He looked at me then, and something in his face almost broke. Not guilt. Grief, maybe. But he covered it. I just need some space to think, he said. Space. The word landed between us like a packed suitcase. I nodded. He reached toward my arm, then stopped before touching me. That unfinished gesture hurt more than if he had stepped away. Later, in bed, he lay on his back with his eyes open. I faced the wall and watched streetle twine cut across our dresser. I had never been so close to him. I had never felt so locked out of my own life. On Wednesday morning, Caleb asked if he could take my car. Your tires look low, he said, pouring coffee into his travel mug. My office garage has better light. I could check them at lunch. It was so helpful, so ordinary, that I almost hated him for it. Sure, I said. He kissed my temple before he left. For 1 weak second, I leaned into him. Then the door shut, and I saw his keys still sitting in the bowl. I stood there in my socks, staring. I told myself I was only getting my grocery bags from his trunk. I told myself suspicion was not permission. Then I picked up his keys. His sedan smelled like stale coffee, winter air, and cedar. The passenger seat was pushed farther back than I ever set it, tilted low like someone had been resting there. A water bottle rolled near the door. Pale pink gloss stained the rim. I held it with 2 fingers. I did not wear pink gloss. I wore the same cracked tube of plain balm that lived under receipts in my purse. My heart did not pound. It sank, slow and heavy. I checked the glove box. Insurance card. Napkins. Tire gauge. Old peppermint. Nothing. Side pocket gas receipts. Parking stub. Folded takeout menu. Then my fingers slid under the passenger floor and touched paper. An envelope. Cream-colored. Thick. Personal. On the front, in slanted black ink, was one name. Marin. No last name. Under it, smaller thank you for being honest. Cold air crawled through the open door and up my sleeves. I said her name in my head once and hated how pretty it sounded. The envelope was not sealed. That made it worse, like it had already been opened. Read, saved. I should have put it back. I opened it. Inside was a brochure from a fertility clinic. White paper. Smiling couple. A tiny baby sock cupped in someone's palm. Words like consultation, options, family planning. For a few seconds, my mind refused to arrange the pieces. Unknown woman. Fertility clinic. Thank you for being honest. Then it arranged them into something cruel. Was she pregnant? Trying to be? Had he gone with her? Sat beside her in some clean waiting room, while I was home saving wedding photographers and pretending his Wednesday runs made sense. A neighbor dragged a trash bin over the pavement, and I flinched like I had been caught. I shoved the brochure back into the envelope, but one corner bent. That tiny crease nearly broke me, not because of the paper, because I had become a woman leaving evidence of her fear. After that, everything looked guilty. The passenger mirror angled down. One dark hair on gray fabric. The seat warmer set to high. Caleb never used the seat warmer. He said it made him feel cooked. Maybe Marin did. I sat there with the envelope in my lap and saw stupid, vivid pictures. Caleb buying prenatal vitamins. Caleb whispering in a clinic hallway. Caleb choosing names with someone whose lip gloss tasted like strawberries. I wanted to call him and scream one question until the answer cracked open. Instead, I put everything back. Envelope under mat. Water bottle in door pocket. Seat untouched, though every inch of it felt occupied now. Upstairs, I washed my hands twice. Caleb's coffee mug sat beside the sink. Brown ring dried at the bottom. The refrigerator hummed like a warning. My phone buzzed. Caleb tires look fine. I'll check pressure before I come home. I read it 3 times. Then I typed, thanks. 1 word. No heart. Across the room, the wall calendar waited with his small blue Wednesday run. For the first time, I did not wonder if Caleb was leaving me. I wondered if he had already built another life and only came home to pack slowly. By Wednesday evening, I had become kind of woman who put on lipstick to follow her own fiancé. Not bright lipstick. Nothing Caleb would notice if I came home and claimed I had gone for milk. Just enough color to make my face look less like I had spent all afternoon staring at that envelope and inventing women from paper. He left at 6:12. In clean running shoes. Gray hoodie. No water bottle. Don't wait up, he said. I might do a longer loop. Okay. My voice sounded calm in that frightening way calm sometimes does. After elevator doors closed, I waited 9 minutes. 10 felt planned. 5 felt desperate. 9 felt like something sane people might do. If sane people stood in hallways with coats already buttoned, rain made sidewalks shine black. I took bus so my car would not be seen near counseling office. My cracked phone maps split streets into crooked blue veins. I got off 1 stop early and walked with damp ticket folded in my fist. Office sat above dentist and travel agency with faded beach posters. Warm light glowed behind frosted glass. I stood across street behind bus shelter, watching my reflection tremble in scratched plastic. At 7:44. Door opened. Caleb came out first. He was not flushed from running. He was not smiling. He looked hollow, shoulders folded inward, 1 hand pressed over his mouth. Then she stepped out behind him. Woman from envelope was older than my imagination had allowed. Silver threaded through brown hair. Long green raincoat. Leather folder hugged to chest. Not young, not glossy. Not girl with lip gloss on his water bottle. That should have comforted me. It did not. Because Caleb stopped under awning, and she reached for him. Her hand settled on his shoulder. Slow. Careful. Too familiar for stranger. Too tender for receptionist. Caleb bent his head. Then he wiped his eyes. I gripped cold metal frame of shelter so hard my fingers hurt. Caleb had not cried at his grandfather's funeral until 3 days later, standing at our sink, whispering, if I start, I won't stop. But he was crying in front of her. She said something, ran in traffic or words apart. But pieces reached me. Honest, not fair to either. Tell her, my stomach dropped. In my head, story finished itself. She was helping him leave. Maybe fertility flyer was not about pregnancy. Maybe it was about future plans that no longer included me. Maybe he had rehearsed breakup in that room for weeks while I saved wedding photos and compared apartment deposits. Ava's pulled up between us. Brakes sighing. For 3 seconds, Caleb vanished behind fogged windows and tired faces. I could have crossed. I could have said his name. I could have dragged truth into rain where it had nowhere to hide. Instead, I stepped back. My heel sank into puddle. Cold water soaked my sock. I barely felt it. When bus moved, Caleb still stood under awning, staring at phone. Woman had gone inside. He looked smaller than I had ever seen him. That made me angrier. Not because he looked guilty, but because part of me still wanted to go to him, to touch his wet face, to ask who had hurt him, as if I was not bleeding across street. I turned away before you looked up. On ride home, mascara ran down 1 cheek. Nobody mentioned it. A little boy in red rain boots stared at damp ticket in my hand until his mother pulled him close. By the time I reached our apartment, I had stopped shaking. That scared me most. Anger had moved in, clean and bright, arranging itself where panic had been. Inside, his mug waited by sink. My sweater hung over chair. Wall calendar showed his neat blue lie. Still wearing wet coat. I pulled envelope from my bag. This time, I did not put it back. Caleb came home at 8:41. carrying Rain on his shoulders and I already forming in his mouth. I sat at our kitchen table with my wet coat still on. The counselor receipt lay flat beneath my palm. The envelope from his car sat beside it, its corner dark from rain. He stopped in the doorway. For 1 second, he looked relieved to see me. Then his eyes fell to the table. "Why are you dressed like that?" he asked. My laugh came out small and ugly. "That's your first question." He closed the door slowly. His shoes squeaked on the tile. "Lena, no." I stood so fast the chair scraped back. "Don't say my name like Yuri trying to calm down a stray dog." His mouth opened, then closed. I pushed the receipt toward him. 6 weeks. Private premarital counseling. Partner not attending. My voice shook despite everything I did to stop it. Fake runs every Wednesday. Your car parked outside that office. Then this. I threw the envelope onto the table. It slid into his keys and stopped. Caleb stared at the woman's name written across the front. His face did not change into guilt. That would have been easier. It changed into exhaustion. Old and deep. Like he had been carrying something heavy for so long he no longer knew how to set it down. "Where did you get that?" he asked. "Your car." "You went through my car?" "I followed you tonight." Rain ticked against the window. The microwave clock blinked 12 o'clock p. Over and over, like time had lost its place too. His eyes moved over my damp hair, my smeared mascara. The coat zipped crooked because my hands had been shaking. "You followed me," he said softly. "Yes." And I saw her. My throat tightened. "The woman outside the building. The one who touched your shoulder while you cried." He rubbed both hands over his face. "Oh, God." That tiny prayer split me open. "Don't you dare act like this is happening to you." I pointed at the envelope. "There's a woman's name on that. A fertility clinic brochure inside it. And 6 weeks of lies." What was I supposed to think? He leaned back against the counter as if his legs had stopped trusting him. "There is no one else," he said. I stared at him. He said it again, slower. "There is no one else." I wanted relief. I wanted my chest to loosen. I wanted to feel stupid and grateful and collapse into his arms. But he looked too ruined for innocence. "Then why?" I whispered. He looked past me, toward our hallway, toward our bedroom, toward the life we had stacked together piece by piece. Blue towels, shared books, the little ceramic dish by the sink where I had imagined leaving my ring every night. "I was trying to figure out how to tell you something," he said. Cold opened under my ribs. "What something?" He pressed his thumb hard against the counter edge until his skin went white. "Not like this." I laughed once, and it hurt. "You lost the right to choose a perfect setting." His eyes shone. "I know." "Do you?" "Because I have spent weeks sleeping beside you while you practiced leaving me in secret." I was practicing leaving. "Then what were you practicing?" He looked at the brochure between us, at the smiling couple on the front, at the tiny printed baby sock. His face broke, and somehow that scared me more than another woman ever could have. "Caleb," I said, barely breathing, "what is this about?" He looked up. His voice was almost gone. "It's about our future," he said. "And the part of it I don't think I can give you." I stared at Caleb across the kitchen like he had started speaking in a language I had never learned. "You can't give me," I said. "Say it." The microwave clock blinked 12 o'clock p. 12 o'clock p. 12 o'clock p. 2 glasses of water sat and touched on the table, sweating into pale rings. He looked at the floor. "Caleb." His throat moved. "I don't want children." For a second, everything went silent. The rain, the refrigerator, my own breathing. Then I laughed. One sharp, wrong sound. "No," I said, standing so fast the chair scraped back. "No. You don't get to say that like you forgot to pick up laundry. We talked about this for years." "I know. You held my cousin's baby and said we wanted to." "I know. You looked at school districts with me." His eyes were red. "I know." I pointed at the receipt. The envelope. The fertility brochure spread across our kitchen table like evidence from someone else's disaster. "Then what is all this? Who is she?" "Doctor?" Boss is my counselor, he said. His voice broke. Not someone I'm seeing. Not someone pregnant. She's been helping me tell the truth. The woman in the green raincoat. The hand on his shoulder. The envelope marked thank you for being honest. Not affair. Not secret child. Not another life. Relief hit first. Brightened, shameful. Then truth came behind it. Heavier. You lied to me, I whispered. Yes. My hands gripped the table edge. For how long? He shut his eyes. Longer than I want to admit. I waited. At first I thought I was scared. He said, money, sleep, responsibility. People kept saying men panic before big steps. I loved you. I love you. And when you talked about becoming a mother, you looked so sure. I wanted to want it. You let me build our whole life around it. I know. My mother has baby blankets in her closet. Your sister asked if she should save the crib. We picked names in traffic. His face folded. Mara and June. I hated him for remembering. He reached into his jacket pocket and pulled out a small black velvet box. Damp at the corners from rain. He set it on the counter without opening it. I bought it in March, he said. I was going to ask on your birthday. My stomach turned. Why didn't you? That week you showed me nursery wallpaper. He wiped his face with his palm. I realized I was afraid you'd say no. I was terrified you'd say yes. Air left me slowly, like I had been punctured. So you went to premarital counseling alone. I was ashamed. You watched me plan. I know. You kissed my forehead every time I brought up kids so I would stop talking. He flinched. The brochure showed a smiling couple and a tiny printed baby sock. I touched its corner, then pulled my hand back. This group packet, he said. Family planning pressure, fertility treatment, adoption, staying child-free, separating. It was about another woman. All my imagined proof collapsed. What remained was uglier than jealousy. Not betrayal with someone else. Betrayal by silence. I sank into the chair. You made me think I was crazy. I didn't mean to. But you did. My voice went quiet. Every Wednesday. Every half answer. Every time you said you needed space. You left me standing alone in our future and called it love. His shoulders shook once. I looked away because I still loved him. And that was the cruelest part. Love did not disappear when Ruth arrived. It stayed there, wounded, with nowhere to go. Is there any honest part of you? I asked. That wants a child with me. He did not answer. That pause was answer enough. No, he said finally. I'm sorry. God, I'm so sorry. I nodded once. Though nothing inside me moved. The microwave kept blinking midnight, over and over, like time had broken, and neither of us knew how to set it back. We talked until the rain stopped. Not argued. Not after first wave. Anger burned hot, then ran out of air and left us across from each other with red eyes and cold hands. Caleb told me he had tried to imagine it. A crib in the second bedroom. Saturday mornings at soccer fields. College savings. Sleepless nights. Every picture, he said, felt like someone else's life taped over his own. I told him I had tried to imagine opposite. A quiet apartment forever. Vacations whenever we wanted. Clean counters. Sleeping in. People calling us lucky because we had freedom. And? He asked. I looked at untouched glasses on table. Water had gone warm. It felt like grief. I said. He closed his eyes. That was when I knew. Not when he confessed. Not when he apologized. Not when he said he loved me until words sounded bruised. I knew when neither of us tried to convince other anymore. No villain sat in that kitchen. No woman hid in his phone. No secret baby. No betrayal I could hate my way through. Only futures split down middle. Both halves honest. At 5, gray light came through blinds. Caleb stood and pulled budget sheet from refrigerator. Lemon magnet clattered to floor. That stupid sound broke me. I covered my mouth. He reached for me, then stopped. We both looked at his hand hanging between us. I'm sorry, he whispered. I know. We sat on floor and sorted life we had been building. Cookbooks bought together. Venue notes. A stack of paint samples for rooms we would never own. Maybe names I had written on back of electric bill and pretended were a joke. He saw them. His face folded. I should have told you sooner. Yes, I said. You should have. He nodded, taking it because nothing else remained. At 6, I texted my mother. We need to cancel Saturday. I'll call later. Please don't ask yet. 3 dots appeared. Vanished. Appeared again. Then I love you. Call when ready. Caleb messaged D, his brother. I heard him typing, stopping, typing again. When sun rose, apartment looked cruelly ordinary. Dishes in sink. Shoes by door. One towel crooked on a van handle. Only we were different. I slid ring box across table without opening it. He stared at it for a long time. I did want forever with you, he said. I know, I said. Just not same forever. 3 weeks later, I learned sound of my new apartment. Radiator clicked like knuckles. Neighbor behind my bedroom wall laughed at game shows every night at 9. Downstairs dog barked whenever mail came, as if warning us life kept arriving. Caleb sent photo album in cardboard box with my winter scarf and lemon magnet from our old fridge. On top was folded note. I am sorry I made you carry my fear. You deserve truth sooner. I read it once, then set it beside basil plant on my windowsill. I touched one green leaf and smelled pepper. Soil. Sunlight. I did not hate him. That surprised me most. Some mornings, I missed his mug in sink. Some nights, I reached across bed and found cold sheet. But missing someone was not proof I had chosen wrong. It was proof something real had ended. I cooked pasta in pot too large for one person and date from chipped blue bowl. I booked weekend trip with Tessa using money once labeled sofa fund. Then I opened my laptop and deleted folder named Future House. Not because I stopped wanting one, because I wanted one honestly. Before bed, I placed album in closet. Not hidden, not displayed. Note went into last page. Rain tapped fire escape. I touched my flat stomach. Not with grief, but promise. I still wanted to be mother someday. For first time in weeks, that wish felt like mine again.